Hello, hello, greetings, friends. Mari Smith here and the lovely Juliette Stapleton. We are here to talk to you about marketing and human design. Two topics that we are both very passionate about. And today is a wonderful celebratory day because Juliette's brand new book on marketing and human design just came out, and you can get it for free on Amazon. And moi, yours truly, wrote the foreword for it because, as most of my peeps know, Juliette, I have been passionately studying, taking professional classes for 3 years now, and I just love the human design system and all the applications it has on our personal lives and also especially in the business world. And so likewise, I know you and I have been connected online since the early days, '07, right?
Yes, yes. And it's so funny because we were just talking about, the Facebook and how to update Facebook covers for this book launch. And then I thought, oh my God, this is when I started following Mari. It was 2007, maybe 2008,
Yeah.
I think seven. And I saw this graphic with all the arrows and what to put where on the profile. And ever
That's
since, and everybody who knows me, I always talk about how it's important to have your profile optimized. This is your virtual you. And it's just so amazing, Mari, that you are into human design. This was the best news for me this year. And that's why
oh
we connected so much in the beginning of the year. And we've been geeking out on human design. It was just such a great connection.
It's really interesting because I was listening to some of your other interviews about your book this morning, and I think many folks and that will be listening to this as well, your audience, my audience, at some point along the way, maybe in the last 5, 10, even 20 years, folks might have come across human design. Maybe they've even had their chart run and they see all these shapes and triangles and numbers and planets, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of, I think I'm a manifester, a manifesting generator. It turns out they're a projector. Oh, sorry, they just forgot. Like that's what they want to be or whatever. No disrespect intended. But the thing is that it doesn't always sink in. And I had the same experience. I had my very first reading in the early 2000s. And all as I ever remember from that deep foundational reading was I have a very active mind, always going, always chitter chattering, going over the paths, my 6447 abstraction, very busy mind. And the guy said to me, Mari, it must be hard for you to meditate. And I'm like, dang, yeah, it's like my mind never stops. And, the traditional sense of meditation, like no mind or clear your mind or like try to be no thought. And like, I can't have no thought. So there's different ways to meditate. In any case, fast forward many years, over the years, I would dabble with it and come in and out of my life. But then all of a sudden, it was a winter of 2020. A dear girlfriend of mine said, Mari, my intuition said I should bring you this book. We're having a visit over at my house. And she pulled the book out, and I practically leapt out of my chair and I threw my arms in the air and I'm like, oh my God, human design. And it was just, then I came to start to realize later when I began my real in-depth studies, oh, I'm a generator. I'm a sacral generator. For those folks that do know, we're going to get a little bit geeky for a second. I have the 214, which is fully unconscious, and that connects the sacral to the G center, which is right here behind the sternum, the love, identity and direction center. And then it's split. I have the 8, but not the 1. So when I started and I had my foundational reading then in early 21, I'm like going to, oh, my body has intelligence. My sacral can make decisions. Oh, when I respond like sacral, when you have that red square, right? You're a generator, you're manifesting generator type, 66% of the world, your body responds, your sacral responds. And back to that moment of my girlfriend when she brought the book on human design a few years ago, I just was like, oh, this has now become my kind of like my benchmark of sacral responses. And so I've been able to bring that into my business. I get invitations all the time. I get things come across my desk. People ask me to speak or be on podcasts or to be involved in different projects. And back in the day, before human design, I would just be making these mental decisions and justifying, going, oh, well, what about the money? Oh, my so-and-so's been there. Oh, I don't want to let them down. Or I want to all the ways that the ego and the monkey mind plays these games with us, right? But now I'm more like, what's my body doing right now? Oh, it feels contracting. It feels like I'm shrinking a little bit. My sacral is kind of going, oh, no. So then it's like, well, then the yeses, and life is just so much more enjoyable. Anyway, that's my little bit of a background. Would you share with folks? I would love for you to share with folks how human design came bounding into your life and then how you connected it to the world of marketing and business.
This is so cool because as you were speaking, and especially just the last bit about the sacral and how the decisions became so easy, I am getting the proper splenic response where the top of my arms are tingling and I have this knowing how correct it is for you. And this is one of the examples how my inner authority, and it works for me for my making my decisions, but it actually works when in my presence, people I care about and people who see me, when they speak, and maybe that's how I'm a projector, and that's maybe how the projector generator interaction works, where I feel you know, at such a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yes.
so true. It's so true. I've always been really into personality tests. Always, you know, even when I
Same.
was a kid, I grew up on fairy tales. I grew up in anything spiritual, anything interesting. I am still a very logical and practical person, so I'm not
Uh-huh.
really like, I don't have flowers in my hair and things like that. No disrespect, but I am just not one of those people who are really way out there. And I was always
Mm.
trying to stay on the ground and find anything with anything I do. How can you practically use it in your real life? And if there's
Mm.
no practical implementation, that for me those concepts are sometimes a little bit too much and too out there.
Yeah,
And
esoteric.
yeah, and personality tests are something that always explain, that's why you are this way, or that's why you are the other way, you know. And I love some of them. I love the young archetypes. I discovered that I don't have any shadow archetypes, which means that I scored a lot of points on most of the archetypes out there, and that corresponds with human design. I have an undefined G center, which means I'm a
Mm,
chameleon.
mm, mm.
So I'll
That's
play
right.
different roles in different environments and with different people, you know, and this is so interesting, you know, how this all corresponds. But there's one thing that I had a problem with. So, but maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I was entering a job, and
Mm,
I had to do an Enneagram test for the employer
mm.
to know what I am. And I was in a very disempowered stage at that. It was one of those crucial years in life when everything falls apart. You know, you just feel like you're falling into a bottomless pit and there is no
Yeah.
bottom. And
Uh-huh.
in that state of mind, I did the test, and I think it was number 6. It was a number that was showing that I can be a trooper, but I'm also warrior. I can worry a lot.
Mm, mm.
And only 1 point below that, it said I'm a great researcher. Number 5, I
Ha!
think, is the Enneagram.
Yes,
So how
1-1.
interesting it is. So because of my state of mind, it affected the results of my test. And I was treated in a way, I was put in a different box to where I
Huh?
should have been, you know,
Huh.
and I felt very bad about it. And I kept thinking about this. And so when I came across human design, an interesting thing is that I don't know how it happened. I have no recollection, but it was
Wow.
2020, which
Uh-huh.
probably was a year for waking up. You
Yeah,
know, a lot of people woke up to human
big
design. It
time.
was
Hmm.
early. It was
Hmm.
maybe just pandemic just started. I remember we were kind of closed in isolation, so March, April, and I knew straight away that this is it for me. But first, I didn't think as a projector. You know, a projector is in the dark about themselves. We're all
Mm.
confused about
Yeah.
themselves. We're
Hmm.
conditioned sometimes. We want to know more about ourselves, and so we study and we learn, but the truth is that we're not here to learn about ourselves, but more
That's
about
right.
who we are in relation to the other, right? Who we
Right.
are in
Right.
relation and how we are,
Just
and this is so interesting.
just to interject real quick for folks listening, what Juliette's describing is the projector type is here to know who they are for the other. The generator, myself and bunch of other folks, generator and manifesting generator, are here to know who they are for themselves first before you can know how you connect with others. So carry on.
and
I didn't want
and
to
and
interrupt you.
it's okay, and it's so interesting because when I try to think about who I am, this is why I am so into personality tests. Tell me,
Yeah.
who am I? Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I
Mm.
don't have this clarity, and I don't know when I'm enjoying something, not enjoying. There's everything inside is very unclear. And I have a
Mm.
64, 63, 4, the
Mm-hmm.
channel that,
Logic. Mm-hmm.
yes, on its negative side, it would be fixating on what ifs. And when you
Yeah.
turn that energy within on yourself, it's a very destructive energy. It's
Mm.
really, really bad energy. I sometimes notice now, and I love human design because it's the science of awareness, right? You become aware, so you can
That's
catch
right.
yourself mid thought, and you say, "Oh, hang on a second. I'm doing this again. I'm doing this. What if something happens? Let it happen. You don't know. The past is the
Yeah.
past. The future is the future. The only truth, and for me as a splenic projector, the truth is in the now, right? And so these
Yes.
things, they really help. So I started learning more about myself. I bought myself a dedicated copy where I wrote things, just to learn more about myself.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that when I'm looking at how I am, and I feel that this is it, this is me, this is permission to be me, totally.
Mm.
So the biggest part of my life, I had family and I have a child, but the business is where I express myself. This is why
Mm.
I created this business. I'm a solopreneur, and I immediately started thinking that this needs to be applied to my business, because this is all
Mm.
about people and relationships. And as you know, I have an incarnation cross racks of consciousness. It's in the quarter of duality, which is all about bonding, same as you.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's all about connections for me. Incorrect people in my world will take over my life force, my energy, and I cannot
Mm-hmm.
afford to have incorrect people. But at that point, I really did have a lot of them because I didn't have the discernment. And I
Yes.
started looking more and more into how do I interact? Who are my clients? I started talking about
Mm.
human design. I started talking to
Mm-hmm.
my clients about human design. And what happened was very interesting, because it feels like when I talk about human design, I can open the door that you didn't even know was there. That's a little gift that I've discovered with human design. So it doesn't matter that I have insecurities and I think I don't know enough or all these things. People who are listening, when I'm talking about human design, they open up to it. So I feel the
Mm.
calling. I
Mm.
feel the calling that I have to talk about this. And it took me a whole year of sitting in the closet and being scared to announce to the world that I am now going to also talk about human design. Marketing is not enough, and the 401(k), it's always, we get bored with what we do, no matter how good we are with it. We always want something. And this something was so more powerful, more than me. And so on the
Yeah.
11th of 11th, of course, I had to choose my favorite number, 1111. It's the
Mm-hmm.
door that
Mm-hmm.
you walk in, the door I open. In
Yeah.
2021, I announced this, and I never looked back. And this is basically a result of everything that I have experimented myself. I leaned into my human design experiment in business. It was very scary. I slowed down to a point of complete stillness, more or less. And it
Mm.
gave me space to see things for what they were, the hustle for what it was, what was required, what was not required, not essential, what never brought any
Mm-hmm.
results, but took
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my energy. And I started looking at my clients and people around me. And I have a very big experience of working with projects and solopreneurs and small businesses. So this is my niche. And I could see why traditional marketing just doesn't work for these people who are working from
Yeah.
home, who are coaches, experts, people who are trying to change the world one soul at a time in a small container like this, like them on their own. And it was very interesting to find out. It was very interesting to see what is the reason of a burnout when you're trying to follow someone else's strategy to a T, but that someone else could be completely opposite energetically to you.
That's right. Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
burnout was after I followed a manifesting generator who I adored, adore, and will adore
Mm.
forever. But
Mm.
I cannot do what they told me to do because it didn't feel right. It was
Yeah.
wrong. And because I didn't know that it was incorrect for my type, for my energy, for just the way I am, I started feeling, you turn into like self-shame and self-guilt, and it causes a massive burnout and paralysis, marketing paralysis, I call it, when you don't want to show up, when you're so.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people experience. I find they call it the fear of visibility, but it's such a versatile thing. There's so many reasons why
Mm.
people don't want to show up, and sometimes feeling inadequate because they tried something and it didn't work is one of the hugest
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reasons why
Mm-hmm.
people don't even try to do anything else. Or and there's so much. This is a wonderful world. We can connect, we can touch so many lives with the world of online. You have done this, I'm
Hmm.
doing this. There is so
Right.
much here. That fear is not real, but we have to address it. Human design, this is what helps you find your way, your unique way to get where you want to be, where feeling that there's nothing wrong with you, feeling that it's correct for you to say no to some things, even if everyone else in the world does it one way and you can do it a
That's
different way.
exactly right. Yeah, I love how you've articulated that because it's so true. Each of the four types, just to be clear, there's four types, my friends. Projector, some people will say five, and that's okay. But it's the sacral defined makes a generator or a manifesting generator with the energy going up to the throat from a motor. Then you've got manifestors, which are about 10%. And then the rarest type of all is a reflector, where all the nine energy centers are not defined, they're open, they're undefined. And the projector is about 22, is it 22, 25%? And the generator types
We're
are
multiplying, we're taking
66.
over.
Yes, you are. You are. I don't know about taking over, but we need more projectors. They're absolutely here to be guides. They're guides. They're advisors. They're teachers. They are absolutely the type that is here to lead the way in guiding the way forward. Not like other types can't. There's I'm articulating real carefully because it's like certain types will have certain leadership attributes, and specifically when we come together in groups, that's a whole other conversation. That's quite advanced. When you've got groups of 3 to 5 people, it forms a penta, and then there's a whole business application of human design. They teach it at the BG5 Business Institute, BG5 Base Group 5. People can find out about that, a whole other different trajectory. But back to the world of marketing and Juliette's book, what you were just talking about with certain signposts. All four types have signposts, body signposts of, yay, I'm on track, or holy crap, I'm off track. I've made a mental decision. I've ignored my body. And with the generator type, satisfaction. When I hit my head on the pillow at the end of each day, if I feel a deep sense of satisfaction, I've done work that I love. I've used my life force how I love. It doesn't have to be work, because maybe you're retired or taking sabbatical, but you've used your life force. You've done activities and projects and whatever, lights you up as a generator type. And then the projector, and then the flip of that is a frustration. So that's one of the things that you and I are like so like on in alignment with, is like, how can we reduce the frequency of frustration on the planet, when that is helping more generators, because it is 2/3 of the world, to do work that they love. And so when then the projector, excuse me, is bitterness, right? It's the bitterness. My teacher, special shout out to Lavina Archers, absolutely love her. She's a beautiful projector and a wonderful teacher, 3-5. And she talks about sometimes projectors can literally get like a bitter taste in their mouth when they're off
Yes,
track. And
metallic
then
taste. Mm,
flip of that, and especially being a splenic, right? Is
yes.
the flip of that is success, but it's like the sweet success of others. Like you get your success through your client's success. Do you find that
Yeah.
lights you up?
Yes, you know what? It's a very interesting topic. I think I have a whole section here on what success is. Success is very different for a projector than, for example, what a generator would feel what success is.
Yep.
And I would say for me, when I see my clients succeed, absolutely. But it's also very important. The feeling of success is when you're seen by one person at a
Mhm.
time.
Oh, I
it's not
love that.
about it's not
It's
about how many
mutual.
people and how big I
Yep.
am. I work on my
Yep.
own. I'm very transparent about this. I am actually, you just mentioned pentas and groups of three or
Yep.
five. Lavina was the one who said to me, don't even go near them.
Yes, you're not a
You're a
penta
lone
person.
wolf, Juliette. You're not to work with people in 3 to 5 groups. They will spit you out. And that's what always happened. But as well, it's very important to understand that even though the 2/3 of the world is generators, we
Mhm.
affect each other. So in our,
Yes,
if I am Mari, we were together, I would be a generator because my sacral would be defined. We
that's
were
right.
together.
Hmm.
So the generators actually not only can be frustrated, but they also make other people generators, and there's more frustration
That's
in the
right.
world.
And
And this is
amplifies
why
it.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. And so it's so, so vital that we raise this awareness of our bodies and our feelings. And our brains are designed to pay attention to danger. So to
Mm.
notice frustration and resistance, it's easier than sometimes to notice what lights you up. Or, I talk
Yes.
to a lot of generators and they say, well, I don't know. I'm thinking about what do I want? What am I passionate about? And I don't know. But if you ask them to look at what they don't like, where they resist,
Yeah.
where they're stuck, they can
Yep.
straight away tell you, like give you a whole list, because it's just the way how the brain works. And it's really, really good, because I think that the more you notice what you can't stand, the better it is
Yeah.
to say no to that because you can, and
It's
say yes
true.
to things that you want to do.
And there's little signposts like here I am in my third year of studies, and it's just a constant daily experiment. I love how they call human design an experiment.
Yeah.
Friends, it is not a belief system, it's not a cult, it's not a faith, it's not a religion, it's not even a typing system. It is a profound body of knowledge. You can learn more in Juliette's book about the origins and how it's created, where it came to be, etc. You can Google some of that. Some of it's not even necessarily interesting unless you're like Juliette and I, who's got a lot of line ones, and we love to investigate and get to the bottom line.
I will tell you,
Others
half
are
of the
like,
things I'm not
whatever.
even interested either. Whatever, because you know what? Whether you know about it or you don't know about it, the mechanics of this energy imprint is going to be there.
Yeah,
So you don't
exactly.
have to learn about it. You can just learn the basic things, the bottom line, right? Your
Yes.
strategy authority.
Yeah.
In this book, I'm also talking about your profile lines because they're very good for your brand
Yes.
voice, for your
Yeah.
marketing, how you express yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
rest is irrelevant. You don't need to spend time. If it feels overwhelming and you think, oh, so much detail and I don't have time for this, well, you don't have to. We can do
Yeah.
it because we're geeks and we love it
Yeah.
and we want to spread the word, but it's still not as important as for you to start
Right.
experimenting with that sacral response or, with the authority. I have a splenic authority. So it's all this
Splenic.
knowing. I
Yeah.
can give you a
Mm-hmm.
quick anecdote, for example, about how inner authority can really show you whether something is right or not. I wanted to go to an event where there was strategically somebody very important that I thought it would be good to show up. You know how we think about,
Mm-hmm.
okay, networking, yay, business. And while I was paying for the attendance, my whole body went into this no spasm. It was
Mm-hmm.
weird. It was just like, no.
Whoa.
So I've paid still because I was already in the process. And then I decided not to go because I had to listen to my body.
Yep.
And somebody that I know went to the event and she said to me, Juliette, it's good that you didn't go. It would be too cold for you. And I thought, wow, I'm still getting this. I thought,
The
oh
room
no,
was cold, or the
I think I wouldn't be seen how I wanted to
oh, I
be
see what you're
seen
saying.
as a
Yeah,
projector. And I
wow.
don't know if that's what she said, but that's what I
Yeah,
got.
yeah, that's the
And I
impression
thought,
you got.
wow, how amazing this is. And my body told me straight away, Juliette, don't bother.
Neat,
This is not for
neat.
you. You will not be seen. And you're wasting your time and your energy that you have very little. So it's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Wow, wow. No, that's fascinating. What's coming to my mind is I do want to touch on the most popular type of authority for folks listening is the solar plexus, the emotional, the waves, where opposite to the splenic authority like Juliette has is you want to really take your time to make decisions, sleep on
Yes.
it. When can I get back to you? And you need to know by, because you've got to have that energetic waves frequency flowing through your body. Somebody invites you like, hey, do you want to come to New York and for this event this weekend? And you're up way high on your wave. Yeah, sure, no problem. And then later that day you're like, oh crap, what was I thinking?
Why?
I don't even like New York. Sorry, New York. It's like, it's like then you're like, oh, then people end up getting themselves into situations where now the mind kicks in and goes, well, but we bought the ticket and we don't want to say no. And so the solar plexus authority is the most common one. And people will make especially if they're a manifesting generator, and especially if they have the splenic center defined as well, it's like wanting to make these fast, spontaneous decisions, bigger decisions in life, of course. And that can come back to bite you. What do you
That's
say?
true. And there is
Mhm.
also a difference. You know, I had this conversation. My sister is an emotional generator. And I had this conversation because she went in, she bought a car. And she didn't give her husband such a satisfaction to take her to the garage and be a man there. You know, she just went and bought a car. And he didn't take it right. And we had this conversation. And I was saying to her that you need to always, you know, take your time. And she said, well, I've been thinking for 4 years about that car. So, you know, when you're thinking about something, you can then make that decision. It's not that you are
Yeah.
doing something spontaneously, but with new
Yeah.
things. You know, if you, and let's bring this into marketing or business, you're
Yep.
getting onto a discovery call and somebody says
Mhm.
to you, hey, this program is 10 grand, or 10K, and we're going to knock off 3,000 if you sign up now. Well, if you have
Mm.
emotional authority, you cannot do this. It's not about
Yeah.
saving money. It's about you making correct decision, and you might
Correct.
not be ready.
Mhm.
Now, if you already
Mhm.
researched about this person or the program, and there's so much thought and time went into this, your waves, maybe then you can make that decision. It'll be a nice bonus to save money. But if it's a new
Yeah.
thing and you're not really aware, you don't have enough information about it, you don't have enough, you know, you haven't been with it for a long time
Mhm.
to go through
Mhm.
these emotional waves, and you didn't come to the call knowing that you want this, then, you know, and I find that this is where the practical application comes in. It's
Yes.
okay for
Yeah.
you to be indecisive. It's not, nothing is wrong
Yeah.
with you if you
Yeah.
say to them, no, I have to think about it. And you say it, not, you know how sometimes we say these things and it feels like, oh, you know, I'm saying no, I have to think about it. It's like an excuse. But
Right.
no, you can confidently say. I've learned as splenic authority is weird in a way that it's not like a sacral response that it's there or not all the time. You can't
Uh-huh.
get it back. If there
Yeah.
was that
It's in the
feeling,
moment.
that's
Hmm.
it. If there was that feeling of don't go to that event, it's not necessarily going to be there again. I noticed when it's a really strong, then maybe, but usually no. It's just this one moment you have to appreciate. In that moment, there's a sign for you to do or not to do something, you know. And
Yeah.
so your mind will interfere, and your mind will start then, you know, arguing for, against, like giving you all this. Trying to get you to make a decision out of the logic, but you
Yeah.
can't, and you can
Yeah.
do it confidently, and that's what I love, because it gives you
Yeah.
so much power. You know, it makes you a more grounded person, so you
I
feel
love it.
good about who you are. Of course you do.
Hmm.
You're a 1-3, and you think with grounded you would respond so well.
Well, and I have 10 line ones, so it's a bit unusual to have that many. I think Ra did too, the founder, right? Ra Uruhu, he had 10 line ones. And so yeah, and I was resonating some of the things you were saying in your other interviews of where, and we've dialogued about this anyway along the way about how um the imposter phenomenon, this sense of like the line one is like there's 6 lines in a hexagram. The first line is the bottom. It's in the basement doing the research, doing the investigating, creating that solid foundation, creating that sense of security for the self because it's kind of inherently initially insecure until it has all the facts and figures and data. And now it's okay, now I feel secure. But like putting myself out there, like I became a living your design guide certified by the International Human Design School in like February of last year. And I'm like, okay, oh, but I'm not ready to lead a class yet. No, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. It's like I need to learn a bit more. Another book, another class. Then I'll lead one. It's like,
You've
okay.
taken over the world as the queen of Facebook, and you're still having this, you know, it's so funny. When we met, the very first couple of messages we sent to each other, and I said, you know, I'm writing a book. And you said, no, I'm not ready yet. And that's when it was the first thing when you said, I'm not ready. I said, how are you not ready? You know so much more than me. And I'm writing a
Oh,
book. But this is
I
also,
love
you
it.
know, yeah, I have a sense of action, and your sense is
Yes.
power. So it's likely I'm going to be
Mm.
jumping into the rabbit hole before I'm even sure that there is a bottom and this, you know, and I'm not going to drown. I'm just going to jump into
Yeah.
it. But I also have that sense of insecurity. Another quick anecdote. Just 2 days ago, I had my first motorbike ride
I saw
with
your
my
picture
best
on
friend
Facebook. Yes.
after 11 years. So my husband was a
Wow.
biker, and you know,
Mm.
he introduced me to, I am totally a biker chick, but I haven't been on the back of the bike for 11 years. And she took me for a
Wow.
ride, and she went straight onto the highway, and she went, you know, she went fast. And I was freaking out because it was just so scary. And then I thought to myself, hang on a second, what's freaking out is line one, because it needs this security and safety, and I feel unsafe. But my line three there is like, yay, I love this. And I
Trial
thought,
and error. Yeah, yeah.
I covered 10 countries in 14 days in 2005 on the back of the motorbike. Was like, there was no security. We didn't even have the gear with protection on. And we did it with my husband, who was a 3.5 also, he was the game.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And I thought, hey, I have to lean back into my second line, because this is my body. This is like, my body is loving this. And on the way back on that, I didn't even notice the highway. I was just thinking about something else and looking around, and I wasn't scared at all. Because, there's things in your body. It's not just one thing. And when you recognize the shadow, sometimes it's a sign, not that it's real, but it's a sign that there is something on the flip side of that. That is where you should be. I had a massive imposter syndrome when we connected, and we did the podcast interview that's yet to be released. And then I asked you to write a foreword, and it was massive imposter syndrome that my mouth even moving, saying, Mary Smith, will you write a foreword for my book? Because I had to give you a yes or no question.
I loved that moment.
Yes. But the truth is that what I feel now, after it's all been, and we've been connected, it's not about feeling how small you are. It's about feeling, what if there's something else on the other side of that rainbow? It feels overwhelming here, but what if it's beautiful out there? And, this is what I want with this book. And I just have this message for you that there is a bigger version of you out there. We started talking about Facebook covers and profile optimization, and this is your opportunity to build that vision of you and then grow into it, and then build another one, grow into it. And just, there's always something bigger than you. So the imposter syndrome or self-shame or criticism, line 3 has a lot of, self-criticism or being afraid of pitchforks if you're line 5, and there's all the drama in your life constantly. Right. It's not that real when you look within and you empower yourself to show up in the way that you are designed to show up. It's like a house of cards. It just falls apart, and you see how it's not actually real. And maybe it takes a couple of 1-3s to say that and say, fear visibility, as scary as it is, it's not actually that real when you do it.
What I love to do, a couple things coming to mind there. Well, first of all, I love to think of like the not self. I think I even put this in the foreword of like Michelangelo and his statue of David, right? He's looking at this big lump of marble and he starts chipping away everything that's not David. And then David reveals itself as a statue. And when we think about with human design, one of the distinctions is the not self. And you and I have talked about it quite a bit here today, is the not self is the mind, and the negative, or the monkey mind, the doubt, all of that chitter chatter, and oh my God, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? And la 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 la. And so if we can start to, I'm gonna use the word divorce, but like divorce or separate ourselves. And my teacher Lavina, she'll often say, my mind thinks, or my mind wants to say. You can even go as far as say you can just dissociate, like, oh, the mind, the monkey in there is like, so then instead of saying now you're like going, okay, there's a whole separate aspect of me that's trying to run the show. And caught you there. One of my other teachers, Dr. Andrea, she's amazing. She's a molecular geneticist out of Austria, and she teaches some of the human design programs. And she calls it a snake. I got you, you little snake. You're trying to like creep in there and have all those self-doubts. But if you go to the incredible the genetic imprint, the differentiated genetic imprint that each of our 9 billion bodies have, and express that in the world, and expressing that frequency of what is your true self signature, the success for the projector, the satisfaction for the generator, the peace for the manifester, and the surprise for the reflector. We didn't quite finish up that earlier, but it's just, that's what the vision that I am having for the world through the business world, because I always think that it's often easier to reach people on a spiritual, esoteric, consciousness elevating, waking up level if you come in through the business door.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. I remember, as you were saying, that the voice of my late husband in my head was saying,
Mm.
"You're only talking about your business." Because this is how we sometimes serve.
Yes.
Especially, when you're working for someone else, that doesn't happen as much. But when you're working for yourself, this is your business, this is also your mission. This is where you are looking for fulfillment. This is where you're giving it all of you. And with human design, maybe sometimes you will feel like, yeah, in my personal life, I'm too busy. I have a business to run. Start
Yeah.
using it in your business because it's going to change your life. I am not the person
Mhm.
I was even 5 years ago. And human design is a huge contributor, or it's to blame for my empowerment and how
Mhm.
solid I feel in so much. And I went this year was very difficult for me. I don't want to turn it into some sort of pity story, but
Mhm.
it was a very difficult year. And my husband
Mm.
passed away, had a very horrendous battle with brain cancer. But it taught me, human design taught me a lot of wisdom into how to deal with this and how to be present in the moment, because this was both of us. He was also a splenic projector. We were
Mm.
meant to be in the moment and take that process. And he passed away in my arms. I was there till the last moment. It was all because of human design that I was able to deal and heal and go into action and finish the book and get other things done. And maybe I'm moving too fast, some people would say, but I'm not. This is how I'm designed to be. And I feel so
Mm.
wholesome about it. And that's what human design does. It makes you own who you are. And I think it's beautiful.
Well, I think you're beautiful, my dear. And when I'm listening to you, since you've been through this, what most human beings in the planet would experience as, and I know probably for you it was the most traumatic experience of your entire life.
It
And now
was.
here you are, many months down the road. Obviously, there's bound to be still pain and grief there. At the same time, I think you are an absolute shining example, a role model, even if you will, of, yeah, that was a traumatic experience and it was very, very challenging to endure. And at the same time, you're still here to serve. You completed this project perhaps a little bit later than you anticipated. And I love, a minute ago you said you heard Les's voice in your mind, and it's like you can feel his presence. He's still with you. He's probably guiding you on the other side, and just being an angel for you in your life. And I just, I really admire the courage that you're walking this path and being such a leader in the marketing world and now in the human design world as well, and having just endured such a personal challenge. I think you're really blazing a trail for a lot of people, and so thank
I
you
really
for reaching
appreciate
out.
this.
Mm.
I want to say one thing is that
Mm.
what's good it is for you, it is for people around you and for the world if you are stuck in misery. What's good?
Mm.
There is nothing good, but you can heal
Wow.
by taking action. And maybe I am someone who
Wow.
takes action very fast, but you can
Mm-hmm.
heal in that. And this was a healing journey saying, okay, I cannot change anything. There is nothing I can
Mm.
change. What's done is done, and what's happened is happened. But what's next? So this what if I mentioned this channel. What's next? What if I enjoy this era? How can I serve? How can
Mm.
I now found some sort of independence that I didn't, I started seeing what am I gaining? I lost so much. It
Mm.
was really
Mm.
traumatic. I have a completely open solar plexus. So I am a
Mm.
flatliner, emotionally speaking, unless I'm amplifying. And I think that I've been
Mm-hmm.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
my husband's fears, emotions while he was sick. And it was the most emotionally turmoil sort of time in my life. It really was, but then after that, I was saying, so what am I gaining now? This is a clean page. There's
Mm-hmm.
no good in me being miserable. Nobody
Mm.
benefits from that. But
Yeah.
I'm here in this lifetime, like everyone else is here to do something that will have a ripple effect, ripple
Mm.
effect on the others. And so,
Mm.
how can we do it? And the book was half written. We connected. I think now is the time. Now is the time for the book. Now
Yes.
is the time for everything. And I feel like when something horrible happens, yes, it happens, and you can take as much time as you need to grieve. But ask yourself at some point, what's good at it? Can I do something about this? Can I
Mm.
maybe do something for myself right now? And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I find that this is the answers I find in human design. It's the answers to
Mm.
how can you, and especially we're talking about generators. Who am I? You know, if you're when you're miserable, you're thinking about, maybe sometimes you're not thinking about yourself. I saw
Mhm.
that in some, you're not actually putting yourself in the first place in your life.
Right,
How
right.
can you take yourself and say, where is joy? I need joy.
Yeah, yeah,
When we're in pain, we take painkillers. When we're in
yeah.
pain emotionally or heartache, where is that painkiller? That's joy. That's success, the
Mm,
peace, the surprise. We need to actively get out and seek it.
I love that.
And we don't need an invitation or wait for to get out and seek that feeling.
Hmm.
Follow your strategy, follow your authority. That's what I'm trying to also put into this book. Don't wait. Waiting is an active process,
It is. It is active. I
and that's
agree.
really
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, yeah. So, my dear, well, where can people find the book? I know you're very, very generously giving it away for free on Kindle, correct?
Yes. So if you're watching it, we're doing this chat on Friday, the 14th of July, and for the next 5 days, the Kindle version is free. I really, really want, and please recommend it to your friends. And it's not a for-profit book. It is to change the way we operate in the world of marketing and in the world of business, because through businesses we change the world, right? So
Mhm.
this is all about betterment of the world. And if you want to go to juliettestapleton.com/book, I conveniently listed all the Amazon marketplaces, or just go to your
Nice.
local Amazon and put Juliette Stapleton, or the book is called On Marketing and Human Design. So the Kindle is free if you want. It's such a pretty book.
It's
If you
very pretty.
want it, I love it. I just absolutely, if I may say so myself, this is the most exciting book on my shelf. Not because I wrote it. I'm like, who is this girl?
Oh,
so so it's still very, very affordable and accessible, because that's what's important. And what I love about it is that from the first page, from Mari's forward, from the opening line, it's really, really powerful and so aligned with what I wanted to bring. And Mari heard me and she saw me and just contributed exactly what made this book so good, I think. So it's a
oh,
wonderful collaboration. And thank you, Mari, for that.
truly my pleasure. And marketing is the way in which we put ourselves out there, our voice, our brand, our difference that we want to make in the world, our products and our services. And when you can do that in a truly authentic way that's in alignment with who you were born to be on this planet, only you, only uniquely you, then the world is just absolutely a better place. And so, On Marketing and Human Design is a wonderful book. I was honored to write the foreword. I know we're going to geek out about human design till our rest of our days on this planet, and I treasure our friendship. And congratulations, Juliette. I know what it takes to write a book. It is a massive feat, and to actually have that physical thing in your hand, knowing that you created it, I'm so proud of you. And best wishes for continued success to you.
Thank you so much, Mari, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Bye bye for now.
Bye.